Here.
Meredith. Russ.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. So why don't we stand, and Billy, won't you give it to please?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening for doing business for the city of Huger, HUA. We just ask that you guide us, Father, give us wisdom in making decisions that are pleasing to you. And as we travel home, Father, we just ask that you protect us until this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, what do you say we make it consent agenda items 1, 2, and 3?
Let's go for it. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Joey, second by Billy. All in favor, just say aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right, Cody.
All right. Well, y'all directed us to reach out to USW about collections and distribution. They came to town, gathered some information, and they're gonna have, try to have something prepared for next 2 more weeks. Now, whether it'll be ready to make an offer or anything, they'll just be here and be able to start that discussion. So, all right. There's also been some question about what do we do when we go PGA. Well, DQ recommendation is what they're looking at is sampling locations, sampling schedules, and all of that throughout the system and the frequency. Well, their recommendation is to get that in place before we make the switch. So that's in their hands on what they're doing. But if, and then we know that there's any,
You can move that.
you know, if there's any quality standards, they have to meet the quality standards at our point of entry. And the only one that we really have a problem with is disinfectant byproducts. There's some question about chlorine residual, because getting chlorine down below wasn't us, and so they've been looking at some things, and I think something is wrong. And I think because Chris tells me that can't happen.
What are we talking about?
At the point of entry, if we have to do any treatment on PVA water, it'd be done at our point of entry, which would be right there at the water plant, or right there at the north tower. And they have to meet our standard. They have to meet certain standards at our point where they hook in. We talked about chlorine residuals and disinfectant byproducts. So when they got to looking and checking, there's something, I don't know the answer on the chlorine residuals. They were getting them down to prison and out over at Hall Creek and everything. So something was going on why they couldn't measure them there and get it. Because Chris even told me, he said, you can't get a positive further downstream. You can't go from point A past point B and have it drop, and at point C have it higher. It don't happen. So they're looking into that and everything. And the other one is disinfectant byproducts. And they talked about using some chloramines or something like that to take care of that. But those would have to be brought down below a certain standard before they got to us as well. And sometimes they're not below those standards.
So what's the recourse?
PGA have to fix that on their side.
I mean, it's been that way, I assume, for quite a while.
I don't know.
Is it just because of the flow coming this way? Because are they like that going north to the other towns?
There is occasionally some disinfectant byproducts. That's why they do the flushing scales.
And it's not when it leaves their plant, it's when right where it hooks into us is where we
Right.
need to be testing.
Yep.
Wonder if they're gonna be able to bypass everything through the plant. It's the PBIA, so that plant.
That's what they're doing now. They do when they turn on PGA.
It just bypasses. Okay.
It's starting to into the system.
Are we using more PBA now than what we did in the past, just trying to prepare for this move, or is it, are we just status quo of what we've done the last 6, 8, 9 months to
We've used about 10 million gallons this year.
Is that a high number or low?
No, we've used into the hundreds of millions of gallons in the past.
I'm
You-
saying
if you-
the last couple of years, is that,
No, that's not high. Just a few years ago, we was using hundreds of thousands of gallons like that. And that's why PVA put us on that demand, because
Yeah.
we'd only request so much. We'd only request 15 million gallons for a year, and then we'd use 250 million gallons. So we wouldn't have to produce the water, is what was going on.
could there be something in our system that is causing the chlorine levels to drop in our system?
No, it's not measured in the system. There's that drop that you told, well, that was measured on their side.
Okay,
So it was, but yes, it dissipates in the system.
right.
Anything else, Cody?
I don't have it. Yes. Oh, here's a good one we got a few weeks ago, but we've been going through it. Neola dropped us another invoice for a couple $100,000.
Holy
Yeah, man.
That's for, you know how the, at the industrial waste, how they have limits on sludge, electric, and chemicals? Okay. So there's over on some of those, and then on some of the internal purchases that they make, and everything, we got some invoices on there. They look odd because, you know, I was checking through that one because it said it was from April of 2020. Okay, Viola called for that service in July of last year. They didn't get billed to them until, according to the invoice, to December out there. And then they put it on their books in April. So we've sent that on to the attorneys and I don't know, I hadn't really asked them, should we pay it? What do we do? That's different than the state.
Historically, they would always send us a big, huge itemized bill at the end of every contract year. But, you know how y'all had asked them to
Right.
let us pay it quarterly, let us pay us monthly, as we go. And this is what didn't get done.
Didn't we talk about like a 90-day window there that they couldn't wait? Wasn't that something, or is that when we were negotiating, we're talking from the other companies? Like, if they
Yeah, it
did
was
did
something they
something,
had to be paid within.
Certain period.
wasn't that Viola? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how could we pay them if they didn't get an invoice? So what?
Generally, when they do that, when they're talking about that, it is from the date that it is invoiced or the date you receive it. Some people just depends on how contract is. But generally, it's the date that they invoice.
If we have any overages right now, we get to pay them as we go.
Looking at that report, Cody, did any of it look unusual, or was it normal
No.
stuff that happened in the past?
It's things that they made purchases of. You know, I'm not gonna tell you I've seen a mop bucket, but it might be a mop bucket. It's paint. You know, they put some lights on a truck. There's a big one in there that I remember that Kendall called me on for the SDR. Some monitoring equipment went out, and it was $6,000 something. I told him to go get it. You know, 'cause we couldn't wait. It was one of those. But most all of those, a few $100s, some of them less than $100, $1,000.
Well, what I don't understand, of course, that's way back before my time or something, what happened. But on the pump station up there, like on the high street, how can they rig that the way it was and it still feel like that and that thing went thick dry? It it was engineered, nice, the way I could have done it.
To Max's point, I mean, they billed us for it, right? For the repair.
I don't
Did they or did they not?
Well,
What
I
I'm
don't-
saying is us getting that big $200,000 bill, and yet they left us in the shape they did, which one of them was at a pump station up there on High Street, among others that were put together by belts and ropes and baling wire and everything else. And then here we get a big bill for parts and paint, and how come they didn't properly fix that?
I've been saying we should include that in the lawsuit for a long time.
I have sent it to Wayland Associates.
Yeah.
what was that, Joe?
You can count them.
Oh.
I mean, those are two, I mean, they make a good point there, but they're two separate issues, and I think you'd have to counter in a lawsuit to try to get some of that back.
Close.
And the special meeting we had the other day of that CARES Act and that resolution. Right now, we've submitted everything, and there's something called a risk assessment that was due the 15th, and it's either yesterday or the day before that she put that in. Got everything there that's been asked. And that was 190 something thousand, and we're eligible up to 254. But you can't ask for an expenditure that you hadn't put out. And we got the November 1st to gather those.
They'll probably be there by then.
We'll be there by the, couple of more police, and then the quarter, when the quarter ends, the fire payroll, that'll put us over, regardless of anything else that's up there. But like she ordered a few more gloves today, a few more hand sanitizers, but we went so long without being able to get any. She just gets a few here and there. And another thing, she said today that the prices are going down on some of those things. Oh, the grass clippings going on the street, we do have something in there. There's a statement it's in section 14, I forget what that one is. It just says that you can't, deposit trash, limbs, grass, boxes in the city streets or public right of ways. Everything. So they've drafted it. They've got an ordinance drafted up. We couldn't get it on the agenda. But it's ready. The only other thing I'm asking them about, it's going to be they can write a citation under public nuisance. And we got about 6 or 8. I'm asking them which one that they want it wrote on through Stockton and County, because there's no reason that County needs to be in on that, because if the ticket goes before him to prosecute it. And he's a stickler for that, because he was the prosecutor for the city of Tulsa for a couple of years on the code enforcement. He's a stickler for the code enforcement stuff. And so, and then the other thing, price of the fine. Is it going to be just a normal littering ticket, which I don't know, I think littering is $100 and then there's some fees or something, or is it going to be $500, $250? It's one of those.
For mowing your yard and grass goes into the street?
Yeah. The big issue is motorcyclists. Now, that's what
Motorcycles and drainage.
Motorcycles and what?
Drainage. It gets off into your drains and there's a lot of problem on the highway.
the wet grass.
So is this just on highway or is this on every
Okay.
road?
I'll be anywhere.
That's like,
We have a ton of problem with drainage on side streets with that too. Because they'll blow it out in the street and of course it runs off in there and gets clogged
Just
over
watch
around
it.
tree branches and stuff in the tin horn and backs up.
Do you know what letter it is? I didn't even see you sitting there. Do you know what a letter it is?
Cody almost said it
170?
was $170, $145, somewhere in there.
Well, I guess we'd run this in piping, like get everybody familiar with this one.
And yet, everybody can go see the storm greens called the Old Ranch with trees growing in them,
I know.
big enough to cut for firewood. That ain't just a recent development. And we're gonna take grass clippings seriously.
Well, it's better than laying down a motorcycle on the highway.
Well, the storm drain system is overtaxed anyway. You start filling it up with grass and clippings and week after week after week. They don't have it cleaned, you don't blow them out yourself, Cody, and different things. When it rains about 3 inches an hour, it's kind of hard to do it longer.
So the city will go around and clean out the tin horns? Or is that the responsibility of the?
You know, that's the argument I had, but our
The ditch
ordinance
and
is,
the tin horn is the responsibility of the landowner.
That's
Ditch,
what-
tin horn, and their half of the alley.
that's what the ordinance says.
I mean, we can't even get the drainages cleaned out, the grates cleaned out on the highway.
Now, what's this about motorcycles?
Motorcycles, if they hit
Slide.
a lot of that grass and then try to put their brakes on or anything, they will slide.
Never did.
I'm glad. But others have. So,
It's a potential hazard.
I mean, we as
Jim,
a city,
I'd never heard of it either, but I ain't a motorcyclist, but I went to some meetings and that's always been a big discussion.
I rode bikes pretty much all my life. I've never
I call
had
them
issues.
organ donors.
we're right there now. I mean, to Jim's point, we need to do a better job, and I spoke about this at the last meeting, and I get really tired of harping about it. But we really do need to do a better job of those kind of things, cleaning out the ditches, the drainage ditches. I mean, I'd really like to see a breakdown of how many hours, man hours are spent.
But it's
Sure.
it's the person's responsibility. isn't it?
No, I'm talking, no, what about on the highway? That's the cities. On the highway is the cities, and we don't do a good job of that ourselves. But it'd be interesting to see how many man hours are spent, like for fixing streets, cleaning out drainage, mowing, a breakdown. I mean, because if you think about it, you got 4 guys working one day, 10-hour shifts, that's 40 man hours.
Don't forget chasing down water leaks.
Exactly.
Man, that chews up a lot of time.
A lot. So it'd be interesting to see, I would think, where we are spending our man hours at. And they're doing their daily worksheet, so it should be easy to pull it off of that and determine, if you've got 2 people that work 8 hours, 4 hours on a leave, that's 8 hours of man hours, so it'd be interesting to see. And break it up. Also, reading meters. Do we need 2 people riding in the side-by-side running around town reading meters? I don't know. I'm just asking y'all to take a hard look at it. Where we spend our time and money at.
Speaking of meters, company,
September 10th, they're gonna be coming in here. Have a meeting, talk about that. And on that other deal, we identified 112 of those service disconnects. And some of those are, one is a person that lives across town. They live on the east side of town, got a house on the west side of town. So that shows up, they've been that way for 4 years. So
But they are inactive and nobody's, you've got
Right.
112 that are, there's nobody
Right.
living there, there's no water going through.
Right.
So what about the other 30?
don't know about them yet, maybe low usage or something. I know that they've replaced the meters the last week or so. But there's 112 that were service disconnects. And that was, so what it is when it's on the service schedule, you don't even generate it. It shows up in that report.
So Amy, how many did you figure were, there was something you said last meeting about vacations?
That would be some of those that are considered vacation. Because there's one gentleman over here that might go to California, stay 3 months. Okay, that's what, the way it goes in. We call it vacation. They call it vacation.
But we still read the meter, right?
No, they put it on the service disconnect.
Yes, we still read the meter, and when gallons show that they're used, then it starts creating bill
They got to take it out of service disconnect.
again. So with that new ordinance that went in, the language of it, there will be no more putting your meter on vacation while they're out of town. It will generate that base bill, whether there's, 5 gallons used or 0
Yeah,
gallons
let's
used.
do it.
Right.
So like,
Make sure we're reading.
And we notified some of the people, because maybe if they had 2 meters and they said, hey, this one you hadn't had on in, 6 months, it's fixing to start generating bill October 1. Do you want to just get your meter refund back down and close that one out before you start getting billed for it? And some of them said, yes, let's close it out. I only had
Yeah,
3 that,
there's one homeowner over here on the west side that lives in one house and owns the next 3 because they don't want no neighbors. All right, now he's going to start getting the bill for the other 3 houses. Get rid of it.
No, neighbors are pretty expensive.
Whatever works.
On the west side?
Second Street, across from Lester.
Carol
I
Lane.
know who it is, but I can't tell you. Confidential information. Between the bear and them, is what they say.
There's some on the east side too, same deal.
Carol
Yeah,
Lane.
over there, see, he's
There's some on
been
that
there
side.
for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Not using any water over on the east side. So it shows up.
So is Carol
I
She's got 3 meters.
I don't know if she's got water coming on or something.
I don't know if the cats
If they don't, she's got some thirsty cats. Cody, you got anything else?
No.
Alright, trustee, you got anything to say? David? Got anything?
No.
Tim? Gail?
On the audit, since we can't seem to get the bookkeeper in here on this, I'd like to hear something in writing from the bookkeeper and the auditors what the whole book is.
Ask him to come, he's out of town right now, he's prepared.
I work with him, send him some numbers, this week.
Okay, but I'm just saying, the time frame here is not acceptable. So I wanna hear something in writing from them stating why this is not done.
You give me a one-word answer, same one-word answer that everybody in the country gives.
Oh, it's cold.
Not acceptable.
I agree.
I agree, yeah. It's not acceptable.
I'm so sick of it.
And what about the leak on East D?
East D, tell me where it's at.
Over there, the road that runs right next to what I call the taco trail.
Oh, it's really,
That, I don't know if that's a leak or not.
Well, I talked to one of the guys, they were out there trying to put some more fill right here by the tag office the other day. And I guess, for some reason, they had pulled the barriers that were over there on East D around where they had dug out the hole and tried to fill it back in. And I guess something happened, but they pulled those barriers. Oh, when they had the crossing, C Street shut down over here. Somebody had gone and gotten those barriers and pulled them from around the hole. And so I just asked him about it. And I said, I didn't drive through it, but it looks really deep. And he said, yeah, he said, I'll swing by there and take a look at it. He said, but there's still a leak there.
See that? When they thought they had that one fixed and that one come back that he was working on, that one was dry around there. And when all this filled up over here, that filled up back over there.
Well, they had been working on that one.
Yeah.
And I guess thought they had it done. But
I know we're still working on them, but it don't look like the bank's
that's all.
irrigation meter is
So what's the next plan here? I mean, we just gonna keep filling it in?
not gonna have to just keep digging down the street. And find it, you know.
Wait for some drier weather and then start in
I
again?
don't know if it's gonna have any dry weather,
I know.
so. Something's gonna have to surface that's gonna do something for us. Because all that ditch is all tied together there, it's all backfilled full of chaff. It's full of water, it just surfaces. I don't know that. I don't know.
That's all.
Go with it.
I have a question. The other couple, maybe it's been 2 weeks ago. The truck was up there with asphalt, or whatever it is, doing what I thought was filling holes. But when I went back down the street, all they've done is put some of that on the side of Moore Street, which is horrible. They didn't fill in the holes. So there's still holes down towards my house. Down that way, in that patch. That didn't get filled up, but they had the truck out there and they had stuff on the back of it. I don't understand why they would put it on the side of the road, which I wish to God somebody would pave that road. But,
Well, I know they're calling asphalt's gone.
is it, maybe they ran
I was gonna get a couple.
All the way you drive down that road, no
Hey.
longer is
start with me. I could stand out there and watch people go down that road. You call the police and it wouldn't matter.
If they're out of asphalt, I
I
haven't
think
seen
it's
it
hits
yet.
at the rest.
But it just didn't make sense to me, so I just wanted, we need holes for them. I don't know what the asphalt problem is, maybe I'm thinking asphalt. We just
Jimmy
need,
was,
They had a big pile and then it just got
It's
on.
gone.
They put it out.
well, they didn't.
We
put
blocked
it-
one of the streets while they were doing it.
They didn't do it on my part.
That's
Or
always-
a lot of other, on I Street too, there's one that, the top of the hill, that one that, it was a big tall pile and now down to a hole. Drive-
That old road there's got much.
Oh, I know it.
Sure was.
I know it did. But it needs to be
Yeah.
maintained.
With all this rain and stuff happening, how did you do this, that was fair? Got to know like the new station, did you want it smooth?
you seen that? Alarm went
Yeah,
off?
I did.
That was just a high limit alarm, but the pumps was running and it kept it under control, just to let you know that it was going. It started working their way down.
I didn't see very much traffic, you know, out there, anything, what they were used to. You know, they'd be out there manually doing stuff. And always got the knock on the door from Sam saying, don't flush anything, or no showers. So it was nice to, not having to do that happen. But nothing's working down there. They do still have trouble. We're gonna replace those pumps in there to a different style because they trash up too bad. That was good to see that they've got that fixed.
Okay, anybody else got anything?
I have a question more for the city, so
Okay, we're gonna get on the city first.
Make the motion we adjourn.
Okay, motion by Melinda,
Second.
second by Joy, all in favor, just say aye. We are dismissed on HUA. Now, the city side, how about a little roll call?
Roberts,
Here,
Here.
Allentown,
Here.
Nicholas,
Here.
Roberts.
full house, Lord knows, we're thankful we need. Okay, let's do a little consent on 1 through 16. 16. Has everybody gone over all the abatements and all?
Yes, I'm glad to see them on
Me
there.
too.
A lot of dilapidated buildings.
What about
Several
the,
of them.
Cody, who's got the land where that house burnt down?
I don't know.
Who'd he sell that to? We need to find
Well,
out.
there's one person claiming that they own it, but that is in, a yellow one, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
It's somebody Gillum in care of Edna Cox is who it's actually in the name of right now,
Where's the name?
on the tax roll.
What house?
203?
204.
204?
Yeah.
204 West Second,
That's,
or East Second.
that's the name that comes to mind to me is Edmund Cox.
Maybe Thelma Gillum, I can't remember. It's been too long since I held that side.
I don't know about the,
I'm probably wrong on that.
Well, evidently it was sold for $51.
Well, that's what
Probably hearsay.
the other guy's saying, but there's been a lot of extracurricular activity right there.
Is
So,
that one of the cricket?
right across from where the crickets live
Yeah,
at.
put them separate.
Across Second Street from
Yeah.
Have you talked to Ben?
we talked to him the other night about activity.
Okay.
We need to find out who's got that and get it policed.
Brandon's all over it.
Okay.
Well, all we do is go off of whatever's filed at the courthouse, right? I mean, that's what we
Yeah,
have
just
to
the
do.
just the legal owner up there. And I think they've still got the. I don't think it's ever been transferred over. The guy may have bought it. I mean, I
Yeah,
may
he
have,
never filed it.
but if it's not, then we'll go straight to. We'll,
Right, we got a motion for items 1 through 16.
Second.
Who first did?
I don't know. Oh, I'll make the first.
Okay,
I
motion
second
by
it.
Linda, seconded by who?
Yeah.
Gail. All right, let's just say, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, new business, Mr. Carter.
Yeah. The paper that was dropped off from the store the other day.
What?
Y'all dropped the paper off from the store the other day for the city license.
yes.
You know about it. Where did that come from? Who wrote it?
I did,
You need to rewrite it.
okay.
If you want to see an able license, you are welcome to come in and look at it. You give me a phone number, I can text it to. That license does not leave that building, ever. That's state law.
The other ones are just bringing me copies.
It does not leave that building even to get copied.
You're saying you don't have a copy
You
machine?
don't have a
Right.
copy of it.
Okay. You can send me a picture of it and I can copy it from my phone.
Can you,
It's not a big
can
deal
you
at
do
all.
that on your phone? Yeah, it's looking.
Yeah.
I can send a copy to it, but like I said, the building, the license itself.
Yeah.
You have to get
That's
a,
fine.
you have to get a copy of it every year.
Yes,
And where does that come from?
city ordinances.
No, I mean, you wrote that yourself, or? did you
I copied,
copy it?
I was one of Gail's and I just kinda updated it a
Don't
little
look
bit.
at me.
Gail Moore.
Gilmore.
Don't get me involved in this.
It was originally created by
Yeah,
a city
that's right.
attorney
Yeah.
back in the day, Terry Lee.
Is there anything wrong with it?
Just that the license does not leave the premises.
Oh, okay.
That's an able commission room.
That's a state law.
Everybody else just uses things with copies, and that's fine, we don't need the original, just a copy is fine.
Okay. I can send you a picture.
It's kind of,
Okay, that's great.
Alright, that's all I got.
Alright,
Right.
kind of like the key.
Any other new business? Hey, you got anything? Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah, I
You got
do.
anything?
I got, we got word on our grant,
Thank
which,
you, man.
they cut us down significantly because our district attorney is on the board that oversees that, and he was really hateful to the other districts, and so we got a little payback. So our smart board's gone, our new radios are gone. It was basically a negotiation session. We did this on a web meeting thing, and so just went. I mean, let go of the things that we prioritized the lowest. What we really wanted was the digi-ticket. And, you know, I knew there was a chance that some of them might get got because the real thing is for the PPE and all that stuff. And we had about $3,000 worth of that stuff on there. And the rest of it was technology. So knew that might get us. But our digiticket is going to go through. I think we got about 20. I think it was roughly $23,000 that we got approved for. We'll start purchasing that stuff pretty quick. The PPE we'll have plenty of that, and probably more than plenty, as long as prices hold and we can get that ordered for the price we were granted it. So that may cut the numbers down some if prices are jumping, but I put them in there pretty high. So.
I'll have to take that forward.
Other things, I've got 2 more grants that I'm working towards to redo our, the walkie-talkies and the smart board. We'll just go a different route. I don't think the chances are as high that we get approval as it was for this one, but we're going to do that. And we're also working on getting a 4-wheel drive utility vehicle on a completely separate grant from that. Would have been really handy to have this weekend when we needed to take USW guys down to the pump, which, I mean, it was no problem. Brandon drove his up here and hauled them right out there, but it would be nice to have one, and it'd be good for special events and stuff like that.
Are you looking at a full grant? Or is it a match
Yeah,
grant?
no, it's full grant on that. Yeah. Everything I'm looking into right now is complete. I think we've got enough on our plate to stay away from the match and stuff right now.
Please.
Big deal.
Hey, Todd, I missed it, or your department report?
Is it not in there?
I don't think I've seen one for a while.
Well, then I screwed it up on the email.
It may be going to my old email.
I bet it's going to the Windstream instead of
It's,
the
we
Gmail.
closed that. I'm sorry.
I hadn't seen one in a while.
No.
Well, we all switched because we thought that Windstream was completely going away, so. Anyway, I've switched mine, but I've still got both of them, and they're both operational.
Well,
I
we
can't
just do
get away
next
from the
time,
Windstream. Yeah.
next time.
Our trucks are on the assembly line. They should be done either today or tomorrow. He said it'd be 2 to 3 weeks before they get them shipped. And we can get those into outfit, maneuver that stuff around. We'll try to get the truck that I'm in now moved over to code enforcement.
Okay, the blue house on the corner, out by me.
Mhm.
Is there any way to get that, like, taken down?
It's on that list.
But I thought it was just for grass and weeds. Is it for the house too?
I think the lapidated's on there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know the name?
I can't remember.
Lowell Metcalf, is that right?
No, that's not that one.
Zapata, maybe?
Alfredo Zapata.
Yeah.
Yeah, nickel line
Yep,
and north.
dilapidated building. Thank you.
No, I don't really know. I don't know if y'all have heard anything about this McGirt lawsuit. Okay, well, state of Oklahoma has kicked loose serial rapists so far. I mean, any case where there's a question about Indian offenders being arrested in Indian territory for anything, man, it's created a nightmare. And it's going to get bigger. Choctaw Nation is not included in it yet, but it will be really, really soon. I mean, it's inevitable. And so we attended a class, and I hope we passed the test. But anyway, we should have a lot of officers that are able to be federal police officers, within certain scopes for certain times when they're working on certain things. Yeah, and then that'll be a whole other thing. We go to court and argue probably on a case-by-case basis every stinking time. But anyway, we had, I think, just about everybody enrolled in that class. And so,
Basically, the Supreme Court said that all
See
the
how
half
we-
of Oklahoma is Indian territory,
Yeah.
and all the rest of it is.
everything
Oh
just
my
about
God.
35. Yeah.
The whole eastern,
Everything east of I-35, the way I understand it.
oh my
Does
God.
it have to be Indian though?
Yeah,
I
and
think it's a
there's-
seven.
Yeah, and there's certain, like,
Who is it?
the individual territories of the 5 civilized tribes.
Right.
Each one of those, I don't know, they're being adjudicated at different times apparently. So, it's gonna be a nightmare from now on. Something we gotta deal with, we'll learn and
Yeah.
that. Yeah, big deal. And I think that's it.
So everybody just assumed that they was cross jurisdiction, but nothing was ever quite right.
Well, there were even
Some,
we had agreements in writing even, but they're not good enough to be legal. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Good report, Mr. Todd.
I think that's everything, other than the Bears. We got Bears
Bears, are they
invading town again.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
back.
I seen
The
that.
Bears are back.
Where?
Up on
Oh.
Woodside.
A block south of my house.
Yeah, a block from the highway on G Street there, was one baby, and then 3 blocks up was another baby, and
Where the mama was.
who knows? I was keeping a watch for her the whole time I was out there.
Cody, you included yours in the other, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. All right, trustees or council people, you got anything to say? All right, make a motion.
A motion.
Second.
Motion Miguel, second by Linda, all in favor say.